Hi, welcome back to the Cadence Feed. This is the podcast where we talk about all things WordPress and, of course, all things Cadence. And this is episode 42, which feels like a big number. We've made it a long way. It's been slow going. We made it to 42. We have a super exciting topic today. I'm really excited. I'm Hannah. I'm the product expert at Cadence, and I'm joined by Katy and Ben. How are you guys?
Doing
Good.
good. How are you?
Yeah. Excited to talk about this.
I'm doing good. It is officially the end of quarter one, Q1, and we're like entering into springtime most places in the world. Though, as you can see, it's dark behind me, and it's not. We're not like working in the middle of the night. At
Yeah.
least Ben and Katy aren't. I'm in New Zealand, and it's we're going into fall here, so a little bit different than Katy and Ben, who are going into springtime.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
But
you're in the
Katy, you're in
future.
Texas. I'm in the future.
Well,
Yes,
you are in the future. I mean, that's a good thing to clarify because it's tomorrow for you today.
it sure is. It's here tomorrow
Early in the
morning.
morning.
Yeah. Not
That's
too
awesome.
early, but it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
living in the future.
I know, if only you could give us like the winning lottery numbers or something.
Yeah. Shout out to
When
Sailor who
we
asked you how well she slept
yeah.
last night.
She's like, "Did I sleep good tonight?" We do have like the longest Monday ever though, flying home because we fly home on a Monday and we get home an hour later on that same Monday. But it's like a 16-hour flight. So I'm like, oh, we should have made this like a Saturday, like a long Saturday, not a long Monday.
That's funny.
That's
Yeah. Weather's changing here in Texas. We have a bunch of garden beds in our backyard. So we've been having to slowly weed it and we're going to start planting lots of fruits and vegetables. We're excited about that soon.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So that's about as exciting. It's that and work right now.
yeah.
My life.
Nice. Yeah. We're in the spring zone too. And we just started eating dinners outside on our deck, which is something we love to do as a family and do most of the summer and spring and fall. So it's just finally warm enough, which is weird because it doesn't seem that it was that long ago that we were building igloos and snow forts. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It's 4 weeks ago. But it really did switch quickly here, which is cool.
Then you should post somewhere that picture of the igloo that you guys made because that was
Yeah.
pretty epic. I mean, they made
Yeah.
a full-on igloo in their front yard. It was
Yeah.
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah. Fit our whole family. It was fun. It was a lot of work, but really, really fun.
That's awesome.
So cool. Okay, well, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about StellarSites, which, if you get our emails, you probably saw us mention it. Maybe you've heard some chatter about it in the community. So, we're going to talk all about it. But before we do that, I thought it would be good to get some clarity around what exactly is Stellar, because there's confusion there for sure. Like, we are Cadence, but also we're a part of Stellar. And what does that mean? And what is Stellar? And so, Ben, if you want to kind of start there, like how we became a part of Stellar, maybe bring some just clarity to our audience.
Yeah, for sure. I think, Cadence was acquired by, at the time, there wasn't a Stellar when we got acquired, but we got acquired 4 years ago, something like that. And part of the pitch for me and when we're making this decision was like, hey, we are getting software companies together to create this thing. At the time, we didn't know it was going to be called Stellar, but that there was like energy around trying to bring together a group of software companies. And at the time, iThemes, which now is Solid, and the events calendar was already on board. There was Give was like in the process of coming on board, Give WP, and then Cadence, and then there was LearnDash and Iconic, and um, so part of that initial pitch was like, hey, we're going after like a lot of the really good solutions in WordPress for e-commerce and for different types of things, from whether it's doing events or doing donations or whatever. And we're going to build this team, and that presented a really awesome opportunity for Cadence to jump into that and get to like, we went from a company of 2.5 kind of to a lot bigger instantly, but then started to grow the brand more and more. And so as all of these kind of companies came together as part of like a Liquid Web acquisition. We formed into a singular company called Stellar. And so we still run all the brands separately. There's a lot of people in the Stellar org that like basically only work on one product. Most of our support team is that way because it's just so technical, understanding the exact like product stuff. But then there's a lot of other people. Most of our devs are basically focused on one product, with some caveats for sure. But one of the great things, and even like from day one that happened, is all of a sudden we now had access to people who really knew a lot about areas that maybe I didn't know a lot about, or that understood WordPress or architecture from a code perspective, or marketing or design or whatever. We just all of a sudden had like more people we could reference and talk to and strategize with and think about things with. So we started to form Stellar as like this, umbrella brand to handle like all of these sub brands. And then we started doing more and more communication and like creating more feedback with each other. And what the Kadence audience doesn't know is that like there are key people that have never pushed pull requests into Kadence, but have had significant impact into Kadence because me or other devs from the Kadence team have been able to go to them. So Timothy Jacobs is like, he's a core contributor. He's the main architect for Solid Security and most of the Solid products. And he's brilliant. One of the smartest devs I know. And he knows WordPress better than anyone else I know. We have been able to like take things to him and be like, hey, what would you do here? Or what's the best way to do this within WordPress? Or like, from a security standpoint, how should we approach this? And that's something that you can't really get when you're not in an org like that. And so being able to get that kind of stuff has been huge for Kadence all across the board from all of that. But then it's also really fun, like I'm senior director of product right now. So I'm able to like jump in and kind of think about other products in ways that their product teams haven't been thinking about it, because I come from a different perspective. And then I can help kind of say like, hey, what if we think about it this way or do this? And so Stellar is essentially an umbrella brand, but as we have come more and more together, we've started creating more and more stuff as like under the brand of Stellar. And initially, that was a bunch of internal libraries that we were using and even publishing for the development community. So we have some internal tools for how to manage databases inside of a WordPress website where you're doing custom database tables, and how to do custom fields and different things like that are all like used within our products. So we're like sharing these licenses, or not licenses, these internal solutions, libraries. And then we started releasing those out to the public. And then we keep building some internal ones. So licensing is one internal one that we had a serious problem with our licensing, and we were able to solve that as part of Stellar and created a whole new licensing system to handle selling licenses for pro things and dealing with that. And so as we did that, then we started actually thinking about like products that would be under the Stellar brand. One of them we released last fall, which is Stellar Pay. And that is a solution for taking Stripe payments in WooCommerce. And it's more integrated with Stripe than basically any other Stripe payment solution you can get for WooCommerce, where you get a lot of the Stripe data and ability to look at stuff right inside of the WordPress account. You get some extra reporting and things like that. And there's a really, really tight integration with that and with Stripe's subscription model. So you don't need WooCommerce subscriptions. You could do custom subscriptions with Stripe's model, which is just going to have a better, some benefits in terms of like, depending on what you're selling. And so that came under the Stellar brand. StellarSites is the next, kind of big thing we're releasing under this Stellar brand. And what's so great is like, as we're doing this, you can't really point to like a brand that this is coming out of. This is like, we're taking some of the smartest people across our whole org to strategize on how should we do a hosting environment? How should we do and be able to package this and deliver it to people in a way that's easy? And so StellarSites it's exactly like it's a way to host WordPress, a way to get a WordPress website. But with a lot of the things that we as like product people have always wanted, and then packaged in a way where it's like I get everything I need from one thing and I'm there. So StellarSites will be releasing with different plans depending on what your goals are for your site. At launch, we'll have 5 different kind of verticals. One is just foundation, like I need a site, and that comes automatically with like hosting that is from our parent company. So we are a software division of Liquid Web. Liquid Web has 2 brands that do hosting, so Nexus and Liquid Web, and they offer premium hosting with really, really good performance metrics and all that kind of stuff. So we take the infrastructure behind that, and then we're able to put that with our products into a solution where you can, buy, check out. All of a sudden, you get all the products you need, whether it's an e-commerce site or a learning management site or whatever, right out the gate with Kadence already pre-installed and running, and solid security, solid backups, solid, performance and mail, and a lot of these solutions that like really just make it all work together. So you're not having to like piecemeal together a WordPress environment and things like that. So we can get into more of the like specifics, because there's like some really cool things that we're doing that I'm going to be moving my sites day one into Stellar as soon as it's launched. Like Pinnacle Foods is going to be hosted on StellarSites, because there's things that I'm like, I want access to that right away. And that's the main thing. But questions about like Stellar, does that all make sense? The kind of how it goes? I just rambled for way too long without like
No, that was a really good overview. I think the biggest thing is that WordPress isn't necessarily considered easy. It's not the easiest way to spin up a website. If you are a small business owner and you're like, I need to get a website online and I don't have a ton of technical experience, how do I go? What's my path forward? Usually you're going to start looking at some other SaaS tools like Wix or Squarespace or Webflow or something else, so that it's an all-in-one solution. SaaS, software as a service, is a nice little jargon word we use around here. So it's nice to be able to just check out at one of those tools, right? And then spin up your site and you're ready to start working on it. And if you want to go get a WordPress website right now, that's not really a direct path. It's like you have all of these micro decisions that you have to make before you can actually start the customization process, which is quite a challenge. So it's like, oh, you want to start a WordPress website? Great. Do you want WordPress.com or do you want WordPress.org? Okay, now you got to figure out, you want .org, you got to go figure out who your host is going to be. And then do you want shared hosting or dedicated hosting? Okay, so there's like 4 decisions that I just shared, or however many, in that little span, and you still don't have a website ready to spin up. Now you got to think about themes. Now you got to think about plugins. Now you got to think about, how do I secure my website? There's just so many decisions that have to be made, even to get to a point where you're like, great, now what am I saying on my homepage? And so we want to shortcut that process. And we have the brilliant minds and the capacity, the resources behind our team at Stellar, that now we can actually create basically the power of WordPress with a SaaS-like onboarding experience, so that you can go pick your plan, check out, get your website spun up. You can even use the AI wizard that we are also kind of iterating on and optimizing as well for the StellarSites experience. So if you truly are a brand new user and you're thinking, where do I go get a website? It's like, go get a StellarSite. It's on WordPress. You're going to check out, and then you get to even use a little AI tool to get your first draft online. And then boom, you're spit out into your WordPress dashboard where you already have Kadence installed. You already have solid security installed. Your hosting is there optimized for you. There are going to be some opinionated settings already pre-configured for you based on that environment. Which I think is just so incredible, and I think pretty revolutionary right now for the WordPress community. I know that I am a website designer as well. I don't want to ever mess with the hosting and the support side of things. I don't want to white label that. I don't want any business in that. All I want to do is work on a client's website and to be able to tell them to, hey, just go sign up for this, and then I will log in and design your site for you, or something along those lines, is a huge benefit
Mm.
for me as a designer, I know. And also it's a win for my clients too. So I think a lot of freelancers are going to benefit from this beyond
Mm.
those businesses as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we hit on a little bit, but like one of the things that, we've put some energy behind is really thinking through how do we make, more and more things with AI and work better with AI. I mean, AI is going to be such a big part of the future. And right now, everyone, especially the insider group on Kadence is like, blah, 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 AI sucks, whatever. And that's fine. I honestly, like, I get it. It's not a highly sophisticated tool yet. Um, but I still think it is the future. And so as we're doing improvements to the AI wizard for like just people being able to spin up sites on Stellar, there's also been, more effort on our side as we think about blocks 4.0 and things like that of like, we need to make sure we're writing this so an AI can write this like in the language that they're going to understand the best and be able to build out, because more and more as we put more energy behind allowing people to build first draft sites with AI and things like that, is we're thinking about how is AI going to impact and improve the way that people
Mm.
build pages, build just anything with AI. Um, and so it's like for us, it's like a lot of what we're doing that's going to be a part of StellarSites is also going to be a part of Kadence and going to be a part of starter templates and the way that we can help people get those first draft sites that are more highly designed, that do have a lot more, we're looking at ways to do more kinds of higher dev finesse, if you will, in terms of like
Mm.
getting the AI to produce that. Um, but yeah, that's an exciting part because the idea for us is like just to be able to take an idea of a business, plug it in, have the AI spin up a site for you. That's your first draft, and you're like off to the races, not having to worry about like what security plugin do I need and how am I going to manage this. So there's some cool things about the hosting environment that like isn't generally, out there. One like really fancy thing is the integration with Cloudflare Enterprise. So out the gate, users will have Cloudflare Enterprise running behind the scenes on their DNS. So they're going to get some actual like defense against bots and things like that. They're also going to get added performance benefit of the Cloudflare CDN. And then because it's Cloudflare Enterprise, they get access to the Cloudflare imaging tools. So one of the big things that hits you on a speed score is your images, whether they're
Mm.
the right format. So if like a PNG or JPEG should be like a WebP, right? Or it's sized properly. Like, hey, that image is too large in an area. Well, one of the cool things about being able to take advantage of Cloudflare Enterprise, they have an imaging tool that allows you to build images in the exact format you need and the exact size you need on the fly. And Solid Performance is going to integrate with StellarSites to actually
Mm.
implement that across your site. So you don't have to do anything on your side. Like you just literally add the images to your site. You don't think about it anymore. That all happens because you're on Cloudflare Enterprise, which is one
Mm.
of those things that's like it's another added cost. One of the things that's so tricky about WordPress is like everyone's like, well, you can go get cheap hosting. It's only this much a month. And then it's like, but you need this, and then you need this. And if you want this kind of performance, and it's just like on and on and on. And it feels like a lot of things tacking on together. But with this, you're going to get access to the power of Cloudflare Enterprise and right out the gate be able to go with that. I mean, Solid Performance has been a tool that we released last year. We've been working on iteratively a lot. And right now it has a way that it can even deliver page cache without hitting the PHP server. Like it literally skips the whole
Mm.
PHP server. So WordPress never even has to load. So there's like some major
Wow.
performance improvements there in terms of like now we can give you page cache straight without hitting PHP, and you get optimized images right out the gate without having to do any settings or anything like that. So there's some cool stuff with Cloudflare Enterprise that we're working through. There's already like this visual compare built in. So the sites will do automatic updates and then it'll test 5 pages on your site. So behind the scenes, it actually takes your site, spins it up somewhere else. that's hidden, runs the updates, and then does a visual compare on these 5 pages to make sure they match what currently exists in your site. And if they match
Mm.
within a certain variance, then they'll go to your actual site and run those updates for you. So you get like a pre-check on all of that. You get built-in backups with solid backups. There's like so many like things like that that we're thinking about, that we're implementing, that just make it so you don't have to think about it. So you're not having
Yeah.
to make this big, now I got to figure out how to optimize all my images. Well, no, you don't actually, because we just solved that for you. And I got to figure out how to,
Mm.
which caching plugin or how to optimize my site. All of that kind of stuff gets just so much easier to handle.
Yeah. And I feel like some of these features nowadays feel like they should be there already, but that's not the way that WordPress is. So like if you go sign up for another SaaS platform right now, like it's going to be secure by default. And we believe that your WordPress website should be too in a lot of ways. And so, but that's not the case unless you go research your plugins and then go
Yep.
install a free version. Hopefully it's good enough, or you go and buy something premium and then it's another bill you have to manage. Like there's just so much of that like decision fatigue and maintenance that you have to
Yeah.
just deal with on a day-to-day basis that I think is going to really become a blessing to those who don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
when these
Yeah, for
sellers-
sure.
Yeah. One of the powers of WordPress, right, is the extension. Like it's so extendable, so easy to find things to be able to get what you want. And you're dealing with plugins and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, all of those extra plugins you're adding to your site out of that risk. Again, another area we can solve for that is Solid Security has virtual patching with PatchStack. So you have a security company that's doing all of the work to find real issues in the existing plugin repository and provide ways to protect your site from those without you even having to update quick enough or whatever. And that's all gets built in. So there's like just so many things like that you go, okay, I can just have less stress about running my WordPress site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of brings us to some questions that I can imagine the listener might be thinking about right now. I don't even know if we've outlined any of these, but just like off the top of my head, I'm thinking like people are going to be like, well, how does this work if I already have a website? So like migration topics. They might also be thinking about just like, what if I want to use my own domain? Is that going to be possible for me? Like, can I just spin up one site or can I spin up many sites? Do you have some answers on those 3 questions there, Ben?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, migrations is kind of a weird pain, regardless of what you do. But we have a team that's going to help handle migrations. And they're a little bit different on a use case by use case basis, right? Like depending on what you're trying to migrate. But in general, all hosts offer like, here's a migration path. This is how it'll work. We are working on a more, we'll call it fancier way to do migrations within Solid Central and backups, where we'll be able to like rsync your site across into a StellarSite. So it'll just be a lot less points of failure, a lot more stable. And that's something exciting that's going to be coming out like right about the time we launch StellarSites. But there's also going to be use cases where you're like, hey, I just have a zip and I need to, use that. I got a backup from this plugin and I'm going to use that. There's lots of ways to migrate WordPress sites. So we have like a migration team that can help, and then we have like some do-it-yourself ways. And then we'll have this like way within Central to like rsync your site across, which would be really cool as well.
Sweet. And then the domain, can you bring your own domain? Like, how does that
You
all
can bring
work?
your own domain. And one of the nice things about this, like I talked about Cloudflare Enterprise, the way that this is set up is you'll be able to use your own Cloudflare account in front of the Cloudflare Enterprise account. So you don't need like, you can host your site on Cloudflare and create your own rules. Even a free Cloudflare account allows you to create rules, which is highly beneficial if you're running an e-commerce site or whatever, to create some basic rules for your checkout page and login page, things like that. So where you're doing like browser integrity checks and things like that on specific pages. You can do all of that and then still point your CNAME at the StellarSite CNAME and set up that. So you get the benefits of Cloudflare Enterprise without having to pay for it, and you can still manage your own DNS in Cloudflare if you want. You can even use your own Cloudflare Pro account if you wanted to buy Pro. You don't. One of the nice things is you don't need to at that point. At that point, you get the benefits of Enterprise because it's through StellarSites. So yeah, you'll be able to manage your own DNS, point your custom domain at the StellarSites CNAME, and then you'll go away. And Cloudflare is so slick that they, even when you're doing like Cloudflare to Cloudflare to Cloudflare, they bring all of that together. So there's no performance loss, which is really cool. Yeah, they're brilliant.
That's amazing. So I'm curious why we at Kadence are focusing on this. Like, sure, Kadence is a part of this, but why are we so, we have a whole podcast dedicated to it. So maybe share a bit more about your roles here and why this is our focus right now.
Yeah, I mean, so to say it's our focus is not true. Like the Kadence devs right now are working on 4.0 and updates to other stuff. They're not working on StellarSites. To say it's part of my focus is absolutely true because I'm senior director of product at Stellar WP. But the way that it's really interesting for Kadence in terms of like just long-term stability and growth and us being able to invest more into the product is we now have a new channel for creating value, and where you can create value, you can put more investment. And so we want to invest a lot more into Kadence. Now we have a way to allow people to spin up a Kadence driven site very quickly. So like if you think about it from a marketing perspective of like, how do you promote Kadence to an average user? You have to be like, yeah, Kadence is a great tool to allow you to edit your website and drop in pre-designed content and do A/B testing and conversion optimization, all that kind of stuff. But before you can use it, you need to go figure out hosting and get WordPress installed and then do yada, 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 yada. Now, right from the Kadence site, we can just send you to StellarSites and you can spin it up and away you go, like you're dropped right in. And so that's a critical piece. But I mean, I think anyone that's worked with Kadence and Kadence support, like we care about the customers, we care about the support. So like there's that piece too of like hosting is as often as good as its support. And there's a big part of this where we're backing that with our support teams and stuff.
Yeah. I've also spent some more time on the StellarSites launch because my role has expanded here as well. So not only do I manage the Kadence marketing efforts, now I've also taken on StellarSites, StellarPay, and also Solid, which is kind of the foundational team within the Stellar brand, only because every single one of those tools are kind of foundational for even if you're getting a brand new website started. So we have other brands within the org as well, like LearnDash and the events calendar and things like that. But those are kind of some niche verticals that not everyone needs. So that's the reason why when I say the word foundational, Kadence, everyone needs a theme. Everyone needs some sort of design tool. Everyone needs to have a secure website. That's what I mean when I say that. So it's been really fun getting to work on a new project that I get to also have a lot of input and say on. But for the Kadence community specifically, like, wouldn't it just be amazing to get Kadence hosted? Like, genuinely, that's kind of the biggest hook for the Kadence user. Now, it may not be right for every single Kadence user, and that's also okay. Like, you can still get Kadence that you know and love and install it on your own hosting as you see fit. That's never going to go away for us. We're just trying to provide an additional way and an easier way to spin up a WordPress website, especially for those who are DIYing their website or they're getting started kind of as that beginner niche, like a small business owner or a freelancer or, even some small agencies as well. So that's kind of the overall benefit to the Kadence user, I think.
That's awesome. Okay, so this sounds amazing. Like, I don't have to do 13 steps to now start a website, which sounds incredible. I actually feel like I point so many of my friends. This sounds bad because I have worked in WordPress for 15 years, but I'm like, oh, you should like probably just use Wix or something if people have no experience. But this is such a game changer because it does take away those 13 steps, which is obviously amazing for those who are coming in fresh, but also the benefits those who have established websites. I think, Ben, you really touched on that, which is That's huge. So this is very, very exciting. Okay, Katie, if I want to get involved, what do I do? Like, I'm in. How do I sign up?
Yeah, so we are actually in the early access phase, like the pre-launch phase right now as this episode is airing. So we're hoping sometime, let's just call it mid-April, we will be launching officially to our early access crowd, essentially. So we wanted to share this with you, our community, kind of early, mainly because we would love your feedback and your input. We, first of all, want you to give it a shot and also be a part of something new and exciting, and also help shape that product as we continue to grow it. So you can join our waitlist page if you go to stellarwp.com/StellarSites, all one word, StellarSites. We'll be sure to have a link below as well, wherever you're listening or watching this. But that's where you can get signed up. There's also an incentive. You can get 50% off for your first 3 months. It's going to be a coupon code that will be sent to you in an email. Or if you'd rather pay for an annual plan, then it's going to be a 30% off coupon code, so that you guys can be kind of an early adopter, if you will, and give it a shot. So that is the way to get involved right now. And then we'll definitely keep you posted via email and things like that when it officially does go live.
Sounds amazing. Can't wait.
I imagine after we launch this, there may be a number of questions. So please talk about those, drop them in the comments, either on our YouTube channel or in our Facebook community. We are happy to answer any of those questions. I know that there's going to be a lot. One off the top of my head I can think of is, okay, if I use StellarSites, do I only have to use Stellar Tools? No. Once you get spun up onto your WordPress website, you have the full power of WordPress at your fingertips. So if you no longer want to use a specific plugin, you want to deactivate it and activate a different one, it's the full power of WordPress. It's not like some junior version where we're like hiding a bunch of stuff and locking things down for you. It's not that at all. It is truly the full flexibility and power of WordPress at your fingertips. So I know that's probably like okay, but what's the catch? There's no catch. We're literally just trying to make your life easier. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ask questions, and
Yeah.
we'll share more as time goes on, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We'll have lots more chatter. But thanks for listening, Katie and
Yeah.
Ben. Thanks for being here. Oh,
Yeah.
it's fun. The sun's just coming out here. You can see it sitting
Just in time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on the next episode.
Yep.
Yep.
See you in 43.